Okay. Am I audible? Yes? Okay. We will start with our session for today. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Okay. So, good morning to all. This is our for I think first session after the vacation period for your SIPs. So this is the lecture for the course code 301 strategic management, and we were last time discussing about the various points which were included in our pyramid, which is over here. The pyramid of hierarchy of strategic intent. So up till now we have completed the mission part, vision part, then business decision, also covered the part of goals. Now today we are going to go for the last one, that is objectives. See, as you can see in this hierarchy, as you go upper side in the pyramid, the numbers are few. Means if you will compare the objectives and the visions, the number of visions in comparison of objectives will be very less, but the objectives will be multiple in numbers, right? Similarly, they will be more specific. Means the objectives will be more specific, whereas the vision statements or the vision of the institute will remain more integrative. Okay, so in this way, there are many differences, and we have studied up to first 4 points. So today we are going to start with the objective part. Okay. Okay. So, objectives. Strategic objectives are the specified targets to be achieved in a stipulated period of time. The objectives identify the activities of the organizations. Strategic objectives are those aims that are formulated to bring major changes in response to the changes, competition, and issues in the environment. So, see, as we already I told you that the objectives are more specific as compared to the other points there were in the pyramid, right now, which we have seen. So objectives are more in number, they are more specific, and they are to be completed within the stipulated period of time. Because whenever we are talking about any kind of strategy or planning, so there is a limitation of time, there is a necessity wherein you have to complete a certain task within that stipulated time period so as to achieve your ultimate objective, right? So these are the strategic objectives which are to be completed into a specific time period. Then these objectives are the one which identify that what activities the actual organization is going to do in the running time period. So objectives identify the organizational activities. Then strategic objectives are the aims that are formulated to bring major changes in response to the changes. Means whatever changes going on in the environment or going on in the competition, or the environment in which the our organization is running, all those changes going on are responsible to make changes in our day-to-day activities and schedules that organization has already planned. And according to the changes going on in response, we bring major changes through these objectives so as to aim our ultimate goal which we are trying to achieve. So competition and the issues in the environment are the major you can say stimuli for which we respond through our objectives. Okay, these objectives are formulated to address the various internal and external issues such as target customers, then target markets, products, and changes in technology, etc. So, objectives will identify the internal and external issues as well, and then we are going to decide that what objectives we are going to go for. And these objectives will be for sure considered by considering the current target customers, what is going on in the market, what are the target markets, and what is your product, how are other product cycles going on, then what are the changes that technology is being adopting since last few time period. So all these things are continuously studied, and then after the objectives are formulated so as to overcome all these internal as well as the external issues. Okay. While formulating strategies, objectives help in decision making by assisting the manager in various perspectives. Obviously, if the strategic objectives are very much clear, the person whom we call as a manager is handling the end-to-end process of these strategy and planning. He'll be able to take better options and better decisions at the pinpoint when it is necessary, if he is very much clear with the strategic objective for the organization. So strategic objectives formulation is very important stage so as to take decisions which are of major importance for the organization, which the managers take. And these objectives help them to identify various uh, situations, various things going on, get them to the different perspectives, and with the help of all these things, the manager is well able to take the appropriate decision so that the organization can cope up in the long run. Okay. So these objectives helps the manager in evaluating performances of employees in terms of quality and quantity. It also provide measures for evaluating the final performance of employees. So once the objectives is defined and employees are very well known or well versed with what they have to do as per their objectives designed, so they know their targets and they know the area where they have to hit, right? So they have to work in accordance so that they should be able to achieve their performance as per the objectives given to them, right? So in that way, every employee is well known about the quantity and the quality of work is required from his end, and hence these objectives helps the manager to identify the performance measure and evaluate the employees based on these objectives and what kind and quality and quantity of work the employee is performing uh, with respect to these objectives which is already known to him. So in this way, the objectives also helps this people at managerial level to even identify the performances of employees. So it is a kind of versatile parameter which helps the organization in multiple ways, like identifying what is going on in the market, and what in response we need to do. Then what what objectives are to be formulated keeping in mind our target customers, then target markets, products, technologies, and what is going on in the market. Then for decision making and as well as for providing employee evaluation and looking after the employee performances. So in this way, the objectives helps the organization in to work in multiple ways. Okay. I hope all are getting this. Samajhta ka? Yes? Okay. Okay. If you have any doubt, just ask me then and there. Fine? Okay. Now let us see. Now we have seen about objectives and how they are helpful for the organization. Now let us see how are the characteristics of the objectives. Okay. How should be the strategic objectives, or we can say the characteristics of good objectives. So very first and important one, that is it should be specific and unambiguous. What do you mean by unambiguous? Yes. Okay. When we are talking about this word, no, it means that whatever is being uh, shown, it should be able to see in the same way. म्हणजे ज्या प्रकारे एखादी गोष्ट सांगितली जाते तर तिचा तोच अर्थ निघावा, ना की दुसरा. ओके. तर त्याला आपण अम्बिग्युअस म्हणतो. जर एखाद्या गोष्टीचे मल्टिपल मीनिंग निघत असतील, किंवा if you there is a kind of dual meaning for that, then we can say it is ambiguous. So your objective should not be like that. They should be very specific and should be understand in the same way they are been told. Means it should be the interpretation and the designing of the objectives should be in the same manner. The person should not get a different meaning out of it. So we can say if the objective designed and interpreted, the meaning are the same, then we can say that the objective is an unambiguous one, and they should be very specific so that people should be able to know that what is the exact work they are expected to do, and what activities they are needed that are needed to cope up with their given tasks, so that they can ultimately achieve the objectives they are been told to. Okay, so your objectives should be very unambiguous and very specific to the point. Okay, then time horizon. Obviously objectives, as we decided that these have a stipulated time period, and within that time period you have to achieve those objectives. So there is always a time horizon, means whatever task given to you should be should have certain time limit, means this task is to be completed, or this objective is to be completed within the time span of 3 months, 4 months, maybe a quarter, year, or so on. So there should always be a time horizon for all objectives. Okay, the next one is flexible. See, objectives are multiple, as we already discussed, right? There are a number of objectives at a time going on in the organization on which people are working to achieve them, right? So but though we decide certain objectives that we have to go and work for, but then too there are multiple things that are responsible to make the surround change, right? So the market is continuously changing, the competition is continuously changing. So in response to that, we can't get ourselves very much stick to the objectives which are pre-decided. So according to the situations and according to the demand of the market, we need to change our strategy. And hence, as you change the strategy, ultimately your objectives are going to get reflection of it, and they are also going to change. And this adaptability of change should be there in your objectives. So we can say that a good objective is the one which will be a flexible one, means it can be changed as per the requirement or the demand, or you can say the need of the environment or competition. Okay, next is attainable. See, whenever we decide on something, it should always be the one which can be achieved practically. Just to say certain things which is practically impossible to do is nothing of use, right? So whatever objectives you decide, it should be obviously which can be attained, right? So every objective should be attainable. Then measurable. uh, Once you are actually working on your objectives, how much part of it you have covered, and are you able to successfully complete that objective, should be able to analyze, right? So it should be measurable. So before actually working on that objective, once the objective is formulated, it is very necessary that there should be certain measures made available to measure it. So these measurable parameters should be considered before actually working on that objectives, so that you can be able to understand that what kind of objective achievement you have actually done while performing so far. So in this way they should always be measurable. Then multiple objectives, obviously, as we decided that these are more in numbers as compared to the points mentioned in the parameter which we discussed in the pyramid, right? So as compared to objectives, as compared to the vision and mission statements, the objectives are multiple, means they are more in number, and they always should be more, because these are the short term objectives which you have to achieve and again go for further step, right? So for that purpose they should be more in number, and as decided, or you can say as seen previously, they should be very specific time. uh, Obligation should be there. Then they should be flexible, attainable, and measurable. So in this way we complete the point of strategic objectives. Any doubt so far? Yes. Yes, students. Okay, I hope all are clear with this. We'll move to the next point, that is goals. Goals are the idealistic situations that an organization wishes to achieve in future. They are permanent and continuous in nature. Goals are associated with specific time frame. Again, see, these are similar to objectives. A small headline difference is like they are permanent, but in case of objective, once it's achieved, we plan for the new one. So goal is something that is having that is permanent in nature, and it is continuously a continuous thing that we are working for, right? So this is the idealistic situation which organization wishes to achieve in future. It is a kind of, you can say, continuous in nature, and it also has a time boundness, means it should be completed within specific time period. Then goals provide the basis for action towards the achievement of organization's mission in the form of specific milestones. So see, you can't directly jump from the starting point to the end point, right? You need to go step by step. So these small steps, you can say, these small milestones are nothing but the goals that we plan, so that working on them, we can go and achieve the ultimate vision and mission of our organization. So these goals and objectives help us to divide our overall, you can say, organizational journey towards achieving our final vision and mission, by achieving this small milestone in the form of goals and objectives. Okay, so that we can reach the ultimate aim of our organization. Goals are financial and non-financial, and specify the route the organization takes to achieve its vision and mission. So the goals may be financial ones and non-financial ones also. So it can be in a both way, but they are the ultimate route which takes us to the completion or achievement of our vision and mission. It is often seen that organizations pursue a range at financial and non-financial goals, which are not always perfectly consistent with one another. So see, if the organization is continuously working for the non-financial goals, and sometimes it is working for financial goals, it is not necessary that these both things will go hand in hand, right? They are not perfectly consistent with each other. Means if you are going to continuously work on the non-financial aspect, you have to somewhere, in some cases, might consider the financial aspect of it. Means you need to compromise with the financial aspect, not in all cases, but for sure in majority of the cases, if you are going to pay attention to non-financial goals. So they might go sometimes hand in hand, but majority of times, if you're going to focus on financial goals, you're going to miss something of non-financial ones. And if you're focusing on the non-financial one, then you're going to miss the financial part. So this is the part and parcel of it, which comes together with it, and you have to make arrangements so as to you can manage, or you can try to achieve the majority part of both. So in this way, goals are also a part of process which helps us and takes us towards the ultimate achievement of vision and mission. So the here are some business goals. You can just see these examples and you'll get idea. So a goal might be increase profit margin by 10% in this entire accounting year, or you can say in this half quarter, or in this half year, so on. Then increase the efficiency with the stipulated time period mentioned, or capture a big market share by the end of this year, or provide better customer service within this year of financial accounting, or you can say improve employee training in upcoming quarter. So these kinds of small term time specific goals are there, which helps the organization to grow in a slow but in a very steady position, and ultimately helps it to achieve small milestones which are there in the path or route towards the ultimate vision and mission achievement. Okay, so in this way, the organization goals work sorry in this way, the organization goals are designed, decided, and work for, so as to achieve the ultimate vision and mission. Now let us see the linkages between objectives to vision and mission. So objectives, I hope all have got up to this, right? Any doubt so far? Yes. Okay, I hope all are getting this. In case of any doubt, just ping me then and there. Okay. Okay, now let us see for the linkages, linking objectives to mission and vision. So obviously, if these things are not linked with each other, we are not going to go anywhere in the path, right? So it is very necessary that objectives, goals should be linked with the mission and the vision of your organization. So let us move to the first one. Objectives are strongly associated with the mission and vision of the organization. Formation of the vision and mission sets the platform for the process of strategic management. Obviously, for any kind of strategic management process, first thing is important that your organization should have a well defined vision and mission, right? So without that you can't go anywhere, because if you don't know the destination, then where are you going to stand and go for, right? So it is very necessary that first of all the vision and the missions are to be set for the organization, so that you get a appropriate platform by which you can actually plan the strategy, work for it, and do lots of planning work, right? The vision statement establish a basic premises, and then defined and specified in the mission statement. So these mission statements actually are established on the basis of the vision statement, right? So for designing the mission statement, vision statement acts as a baseline, and accordingly we can design our mission statement. The vision and the mission statements lead to formation of concrete objectives. Obviously, if your vision and mission statement are very clear, you're going to have very clear picture that where you want to go and how you want to go. So on the basis of that clear image, you can develop your objectives in a very concrete way, in a very strong way, and you can then work accordingly. The vision and the mission statements are not specific, while the objectives are achievable and specific in nature. In other words, objectives are the detailed and the specified versions of vision and mission statements. So, as we already have seen this, that compared to the objectives, vision and mission are not that much specific. They are the vague statements where we see ourselves in future, right? But when we are talking of the objectives, they are very much clear, very much to the point and specific, and they are also achievable part of it, right? So in this way, these objectives, which are very specific and achievable, are nothing but a very clarified version of your vision and mission statement, because these are derived from the already set and designed vision and mission part of the organization. Okay. Usually setting the objectives is the task of the top level management, and hence should be properly communicated to the staff at all the levels of the organization. So this point is very necessary, that there should be a proper communication and a transparency, so that everyone can work together and achieve the objectives together, right? So, whenever the objectives are set or designed, it is the responsibility of top level management, as they decide what are the objectives. So, it is their responsibility to properly communicate these objectives to the other staff members at different levels in the organization. Because if they are not going to discuss this very clearly with the other staff members, they are not going to get clear idea about what they are actually working for. So if they know their end path or the end objective which they have to achieve, so they can very well plan and work accordingly, and uh, design their part of working so as to uh, cooperate, or you can say devote their part of work towards achieving the objectives. So it is very necessary that these things should be properly communicated to the lower level of staff at all the levels by the top management. Okay, I hope all are getting this. Okay, so there is one small diagrammatical representation of the same. See, the vision statement, what is it? It outlines what the organization wishes to achieve, right? So that is nothing but the vision statement. Depending on the vision statement, the mission statement is drafted, right? So what might be the mission statement? It highlights the features and functions of the business, and how they are going to highlight depending upon the vision statement. Once the vision and mission statements are ready, then comes into picture the part of objectives. So what are the objectives? It is nothing but the set targets to achieve the defined vision and mission. So in this way, these all three are linked which these three things are linked with each other. The vision statement or the vision part is the first baseline work that is done. Depending on that, the mission statement is derived. Once the mission statement is clear that what is the function and what are the features of your business, so depending upon that and where you want to reach in your long term, means the ultimate vision, depending upon these things, the objectives are designed. So in this way, these three things are very much linked with each other. Okay, I hope all are getting this. Both vision and mission shows the way to achieve the objectives. The vision statement summarizes the objectives, and the mission statements sets a platform for objectives. Hence, without setting vision and mission statement, it is nearly impossible to formulate the objectives. So, without having vision and mission statements, you cannot formulate the objective for the organization. So, it is very necessary that before designing the objectives or formulating the objectives, you should be first clearly set the vision and the mission statement. Okay. Then the last point is connecting the objectives with vision and mission statement is very crucial and is usually carried out by the top level management. So all this connection and creating a link between these three things, it is all the responsibility of the top level management, and this part is very crucial that they should be linked with each other, because the work without it won't go in line. So if you want to work in line, it is very necessary that you should be able to link them. There should be a connectivity between these three things, and they should be interdependent on each other, so that this crucial thing will help you to later on complete your ultimate vision through these objectives and missions. So it is very necessary that they should be interlinked with each other. Okay. Are you all getting this? Yes. Okay, now let us move to the next point, that is key success factor. Okay. Okay, let us now move to the next point, that is key success factor. Okay. This is one of the important part which is or a task which is carried out in on any organization. Let us now see in detail about it. So key success factor, it is also known as KSF. So KSF is a short form of it. Okay. uh, Key success factors. Okay. Key success factors, or they are also known as critical success factors, CSF. Interchangeably, you can use both the names. So, key success factors or critical success factor is a management term for an element that is necessary for an organization or project to achieve its mission. So to achieve their goals, they need to be aware of each key success factor. So see, this critical success factor or the key success factor, or you can say the important factor, which they called as the key success factor or critical success factor, it is a part of management activity, and these element is very necessary for any organization or project to achieve its mission. Okay, their goals need to be identified, and they all should be aware of what are the key success factor for that particular organization or the project. Critical key success factors are generally 3 to 5 areas that a company may focus on to achieve its vision. So these are the specialized areas which are to be focused to attain its vision, and these areas are called as the critical success factors or key success factors. Key success factors may also be major flaws that need to be addressed before other goals can be completed or strengths that must be preserved. So, critical success factors are the flaws that should be identified before other goals can be get completed or strength, because you can't miss that critical part. If there is any kind of flaw, you should be able to identify that, work on it before you are actually completing the other goals or objectives. Critical success factors relate to the specific strategy elements, product or service attributes, resources, then capabilities, then competencies and or business outcomes that influence a firm's profitability and or survival in a particular industry. So I think this is the important part of this entire slide. You can see they are clearly stating that the critical, when we are talking about the critical success factors, so these are something related to strategic element part, wherein these product or service attribute or the resource or this capability of the organization, or you can say that important part of the organization which is responsible for influencing the organizational profitability or helping the organization for its survival in particular industry, can be termed as a critical success factor for it, right? So this is the, you can say, entire gist of this entire point if you consider. Okay, so the critical success factors are by definition important for all the firms in that industry to possess and pay attention to, because if you're not going to pay attention to these critical factors, you're going to go in chaos in your long term. So these are the critical factors which help you out to achieve your business, to influence your profitability, or to get yourself survived in a particular industry. So for take an example, consider one company, or here is one entire example I have jotted down. You can see. So see, the key success factors. Okay, so the key success factors may be anything. Okay, for a particular organization, and it might get differ from organization to organization. So these critical success factors may be the strategic focus. So in the strategic focus, it can be the leadership the organization has, or the management organization possess, or the planning part the organization do, which gains it the ultimate profitability and help it to gain the long term, you can say, profits in the competition. So all these three things can be a part of strategic focus, which can act as a critical success factor for the success of the organization. Or you can say the people. Now people are again a part of KSF, like a personnel or the staff or the learning or the development that is continuously going on in the organization for the employees, which help them to gain more knowledge, furnish them in a more better way, which helps the organization to ultimately work in more efficient way and come up with a brilliant ultimate product. So these can be the points which helps the organization to gain the success. So these can also be a part of critical success factor for that particular organization. Now consider the point for operations. In case of operation, the process or the work done can act as a critical success factor, which helps the organization to gain success in its long run. Okay, now similarly in the area of marketing, we can say the customer relationship. A good customer relationship is always helpful for the organization so as to create good connections, and these connections help you in way round to achieve the ultimate goals for your organization, overcome various, you can say, profit margin by having good relations. Uh, you can say, you can do various deals and crack many deals with help of PR and work accordingly to higher sales. So in this way, customer relations or the sales or responsiveness, all these three things are the activities considered under marketing department or marketing sector, if are very much powerful, can act as a critical success factor to gain your success in the long term. Similarly, for finances, you can say the assets of the organization, the facilities, the equipments that the organization possess, etc., can act as a very critical success factor for the organization. So in this way, organization needs to identify that which are the important factors in the which play role in the organizational success, or you can say helping organization to very effectively, efficiently go ahead in a long run. So these factors are to be considered, are to be worked upon, and are to be strengthened, as they are the critical success factor for the organization. Okay, so in this way, CSF always helps the organization to gain the competitive advantage in the market, and also helps in survival and long run for the organization. Now here is industry example for critical success factor. Now consider the information technology industry. Now the critical success factor for a successful information technology project is a user involvement. So if the user is involved in it, you can say that he will be better one to give the inputs in ample ways, because he will be the one who will be using it, and he knows that what are the necessities, what are the small things that are required, which are the small things which will be very useful and should be adopted. So in this way, what will happen, he will be able to better he will be able to give better input from his side, as his perspective will be the one of utilizing it, right? Just a second. Okay, if the person who is actually involving in the project is the ultimate user of that project, he will be very well known that what are the small things that are to be implemented in that project, what small things will help the project to work more efficiently, what kind of interface the user will prefer. All kind of these inputs will be given by that user who is actually going to use that, and this will be the very important input resource. So he can be very useful and act as a critical success factor for successful information technology project. So in this way, every industry has its own critical success factors which help them to achieve long term goals in the or you can say to go ahead in the long run. Okay, then consider same for the manufacturing industry. The specific industry has its own critical success factor. So every industry has different critical success factor, and depending to the demand and the necessity, they change. Now considering the manufacturing industry, the key success factor would include like low production cost and efficiency, then quality product manufacturing, then high utilization of the fixed asset, then adequate skill labor, then low cost plantation locations, then high labor productivity or low cost designing and engineering. So all these things can work or act as a critical or key success factor for the organization, which will help the organization in long run, or to become more successful in the competition, or act as a important part which plays important role in organizational success. Okay, I hope you all are getting this. The next part is key performance indicator. Have you all understood so far? Yes. Okay. The next one is key performance indicator, shortly known as KPIs. Now, these are also similar to key success factors. So let us now see these in detail. Okay. Key performance indicators, or shortly known as KPIs. Performance indicators are well understood as being metrics or measures in terms of which performance is measured, evaluated, or compared. So, if you wish to compare your performance or evaluate or measure your performance, then the metrics which is designed to understand your performance or measure it is called as key performance indicators. Okay, so key performance indicators are the metrics or the measures in terms of which the critical success factors are evaluated. Means when you know the critical success factors, then you have to, once you have identified various critical success factors, you can define a metrics or a measures to identify or evaluate these critical success factors, which are means this work is done under the KPIs, that is key performance indicators. So these KPIs evaluate the success of an organization or a particular activity such as project, programs, products, or any other initiative that the organization has taken in which it is engaged. Then what makes the KPIs key in their relationship to the critical success factors and ultimately to the vision of the organization. So the company has to determine that which combination of metrics is it would use to determine and whether it is successful or not. So KPIs thus help to quantify the critical success factors. See, critical success factors, as we studied in our last slide, it is only the areas of keen importance to the success of the organization. But to identify or evaluate these success factors, you need the help of key performance indicator. It is nothing but the measures by which the you can study and evaluate the critical success factors. Okay. Then performance indicators are routinely associated with the performance improvement initiatives. So these KPIs are nothing but they are associated with the key performance initiatives, which helps to more nourish the uh, critical success factors and make them more efficient so as to most so as to make most benefit of it in achieving the success for the organization. Okay, so now let us see what are the benefits of KPIs. So KPIs have gained importance as well as popularity in the corporate world as they have several benefits which are as follows. So the first one is it helps in the shaping of the organization. Obviously, when you're going to identify the loopholes and evaluate the certain parameter, you'll be able to better understand that what are the flaws and how it can be covered. So it helps you to more develop the organization and hence you can shape it in a more better way. Then clear understanding to accomplish objectives. So you'll get a clear understanding with the help of KPIs to accomplish your objectives in a direction, because it will help you to measure your performance in the critical success factors, and where is the lacuna will be identified with the help of KPIs, and hence you can use those lacunas to more develop in those lacunas and work over it so as to accomplish your objectives in a more better way. So again, it is also a kind of motivational factor, because with the help of KPIs you can easily track your progress, and it is a kind of motivation that comes along with it so as to achieve the better performance and be and get self motivated. Then to measure the business trends, obviously a KPI is a measuring tool, or you can say indicator, so it will help you to identify the trends of business also. Then it is easy in use and can be used as a benchmarking tool as well. So in this way KPI has multiple benefits, and it helps the organization in ways to complete the ultimate goals or objectives. Okay, now I hope all have got this. Any doubts so far? Yes. Yes, Vijaya. Okay, now let us move to the. Yes. Yes, sure. Yes. Hmm. 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 नहीं नहीं, see, for writing the difference between those, no, you have to only write that in any 5 points which can help you to differ the both. Only 5 points are expected, and it's not like you have to complete only the important part, you have to complete the entire assignment. Huh. 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 You can also use any kind of organizational example so that you can extend that question little bit more. Nothing, means no issues with that. Hmm. You can add examples, no, live examples, and you can work on it, or you can just make a small diagrammatical representation of any organizational critical success factors, as I have explained in the previous slides, and you can add that point in the, so you can make it little lengthy with the help of practical examples or designing a KSF format, and you can extend that part to 10 marks. Okay, so no issues with that. Fine. Yeah. Any more doubt from anyone? Okay. So let us move to the next part. We'll complete this part of KRA and we'll stop then for today. Okay. Okay. Similar to the critical success factor, then KPIs. Next part is the KRAs, that is key result areas. Now let us see what is KRA. So these are sometimes called as operational objectives, means KRAs are sometimes also called as operational objectives. There is no complete agreement on what the key result areas of a business should be. So there is no anything like hard and fast on what the key result areas of the business should be. So it depends and can vary in different cases. Okay. They may differ for various enterprises. These are normally short term objectives that have a time horizon of 1 or 2 years, and if necessary are renewed from time to no time. Okay. uh, Key result areas or KRAs refer to the rules for a specific role in a company. The terms highlight the scope of the job profile for the employee, enabling them to have a better view of their possible role in the company, which KRA will differ from each other depending on the department. So this KRA specifically, you can say, employee oriented, or every employee's job responsibility or job profile in which he is continuously working for a certain time period can be divided into KRA, means the key result areas, the important area or part in which he has to perform. So his job profile can be divided upon various points wherein he have to perform there as his role as an employee in the organization, and with the help of this KRA he will be enabled to better view what possible role he has in the company and how better he is performing that role. Okay, he can also keep a track record of it. So KRA will differ for every other employee, because every other employee from different department will have different KRA, means his area of responsibility, and it will differ from department to department, and probably it can be different for employee to employee also, depending on the job responsibility. The key result area is a specific role which each department need to follow to deliver the goods or services in perfect condition to the final customer or to another department which will have the different cases. So everyone has a specific role of each department, and he has to deliver that particular responsibility in a very perfect condition to the final customer or any other department which is going to further work on it, so that they can very efficiently have a different critical success factors and work accordingly so as to complete the ultimate responsibility given to them. Okay. They form the bread and butter of the organization. Generally, they are subservient to the strategic objectives and often to the business process objectives. So, see, KRs are the very basic thing for any organization, and they are very much in line with the strategic objectives. Okay, so they are mostly the part of business project process objectives, and hence are very important for every employee to know and to work for. So these are the areas where performance is essential for the ongoing success of the enterprise, because if any employee is not able to work in his KRA, then ultimately his performance will get drowned, and this will have the overall impact on that department and ultimately on the organization. So KRA is the area where employee has to perform in a very efficient way, as it is the actual business process part. So he needs to perform there and efficiently work in that area. So in these areas, management normally attach financial objectives as well as the operational objectives. So as mentioned over here, the financial objectives and operational objectives means very much incentive parts or the incremental part or the promotional part. So these things are attached with this KRAs. If you're going to perform very much good in your KRAs, you're going to get benefited with this financial objectives. Like you might get incentives, you might get bonuses, or you might get a promotion, and so on. So say if it is a marketing or a sales is a key result area, it would have objectives that are financial as well as those that relate to the measure of success in the market. So in this way, the KRAs are designed. I hope all of you have understood so far whatever has been taught today. If you have any kind of doubt, you can ask me right now, or we can also discuss in our next session. So, any doubt so far? Yes? Okay. I hope all have got this. And with this, I conclude our today's session. Thank you all for attending. With this, I conclude our today's session, and now you may all leave the session. Thank you.